Man, 2020 was terrible for most of us. And there were, of course, some terrible comic books that came out in 2020. But there were also some good comic books, too. So I'm going to give you my best and worst of 2020. Stay tuned. What's up, Crew Without Fear? It's the Dude Without Fear here, and we made it. 2021. The future. I mean, that's how I feel when I say that it's 2021. I feel like I'm in the future right now. It's pretty wild. So 2020, of course, was really crappy. Had a lot of really crap moments in it. A lot of crap things happened. A lot of crap things are still happening. But there were some good comic books that came out. Some good series. Some cool covers. So I wanted to make a video that shows you my favorite series that came out in 2020, my most disappointing comics of 2020, my favorite covers of 2020, and the comics that I think you should be on the lookout for this year. So without further ado, let's get started. So I got, I think, 10 books, 10 titles that I really enjoyed in 2020. So I buy my comics because I want to read good stories about characters that I love. And I don't really love this character at all, but this so far has been some pretty interesting stuff. And I didn't want to miss this bandwagon. So my first series that I really enjoyed of 2020 that's still going strong is Thor by Donny Cates. And this stuff is really interesting. This issue right here is the return of Donald Blake, and Donny Cates does some very interesting stuff with that character. So Thor has been a consistently good read. Coming in at number 9 is a title that I would not have picked up had I not heard a YouTube recommendation for it, because I didn't know the writer and artist, and it just didn't seem like a story that I would be into. But I bought the first issue, and that first issue had an unforgettable moment in it, and it hooked me. And I was like, well, I got to give the next issue a shot. And every issue has had something awesome happen to develop the story and build the characters, and it's just really good writing. And it's very surprising at how good Big Girls is. So this comic is only on issue like 5 or 6. So the first volume should be coming out pretty soon in trade paperback if it's not out already. You should definitely give it a shot if you like science fiction type stuff. Coming in at number 8, this is one of 4 titles that are exclusively sold inside of Walmarts, and it's by Allegiant Arts Entertainment is the company. And I'm very excited for these books that they're putting out, because they're putting out some quality stuff. But I'm kind of nervous because they haven't put any books out in a while. They keep pushing back the release date, and I really hope that something hasn't happened, because I really want to continue reading this stuff, and I really want more comics available to the masses, comics that are available outside of comic shops, to get more people into buying comics, because that's good for the industry. But coming in at number 8, we have Bass Reeves. This comic, dude, is so cool. It's based on the actual Bass Reeves. He was a real dude. The first African-American sheriff, I believe, first lawman that was African-American. And this comic writes him like a mixture of, cowboy and John Wick. It's way cool. He's a super cool dude. I very much hope that series continues, because I have enjoyed it. This one at number 7 is, I've enjoyed it because I love the writer and I love the world and I love the characters. I don't necessarily like 100% what they're doing in the story, because I don't like that they've brought this character into this world. However, if I view it as an alternate tale, then it's completely enjoyable. But I have thoroughly enjoyed Batman: The Adventures Continue by Alan Burnett and Paul Dini and Ty Templeton, and it is just great stuff, man. You all know how much I love the Batman adventures, so to get more of it, I'm all for it. Coming in at number 6 is my boy Daredevil by Chip Zdarsky. And preferably Marco Checchetto on pencils, because Marco Checchetto's covers are incredible. His artwork is incredible, and I really love that dude. He's unfortunately not done the art on all of the books, but the ones that he does do the art on, they definitely stand out. And so, while this isn't as great as some of the previous Daredevil runs that I've read, it's still good. It's still probably the best book that Marvel's putting out. And I don't think Marvel's putting out very many good books. Coming in at number, what is this, 5? Yes. Coming in at number 5, we have Batman by James Tynion IV. And the reason this is on here is because finally, after 9 freaking years, Batman finally feels like Batman again in his own book. You had Scott Snyder's Batman in the New 52 era that was like a douchebag, egotistical frat boy who couldn't do anything outside of a mech suit. And then you had Tom King's Batman in the Rebirth era that was just wrote Batman as a pathetic loser who needed Catwoman's love and approval to be a fraction of the dude that he's been for the last 80 freaking years. It's just awful crap. But James Tynion writes Batman how Batman is. Scott Snyder and Tom King wrote Batman how they thought Batman should be, but James Tynion writes Batman how Batman is. He's the world's greatest detective, world's greatest crime fighter, world's greatest martial artist. Tynion's Batman is as close to the heyday of Batman that we will ever get again, I feel. And so I thoroughly enjoy Tynion's Batman, and I hope it continues. Coming in at number 4, this book, when I read it, a lot of these books from this publisher have been incredibly disappointing. Almost all of them actually have been not great. But this one, when I read it, I honestly felt like I was reading the modern day equivalent of Amazing Fantasy 15, the first appearance of Spider-Man. That book is Erratic by AWA. Written by Kare Andrews, however you say his name. Dude, if you haven't picked up that book and you're interested in it, pick it up. It's 1 of 5. It's a 5-issue miniseries. Whether or not it will continue, I don't know. Whether or not it'll stay this good, I don't know. A lot of these AWA books, they hook you in that first issue, and then by the end of it, you're like, why am I buying this book? But this comic, thoroughly enjoyed it. Very good stuff. Number 3, The Last Ronin. This comic is just so good. It's what a Ninja Turtle comic should be. It's an awesome concept. It's the last surviving Ninja Turtle. It's so cool. You all know about this book. You should have known it's on this list. And if you are interested in Ninja Turtles at all, I highly recommend it. Number 2 is a one-shot. It came early on in the year, and it is Captain America: The End. And I love this book so much because Captain America has sucked since, what's his name? Rick Remender left the book. Just like how Batman was written by characters who wanted to fundamentally change the character, and Tynion brought redemption to the character. Erik Larsen did that for Captain America, in my opinion. This could be my favorite this could be my favorite comic of the year, actually, because it's Captain America being Captain America. He's not been changed. He's not had the writer's political opinions inserted and made his own. He's just Cap being Cap, standing up and fighting till the very end with his very last breath, and it is awesome. I highly recommend picking that book up. My favorite series of the year, Robert Kirkman and Chris Samnee's Firepower. I cannot express enough how much I love that book, because it is just martial arts action. It's like if you took the martial arts world of Kunlun with Iron Fist and the power of Iron Fist, but you took the training and the like cultish stuff of the Hand from Daredevil, and you mixed them together, and you got this really cool book. And it's just the book that I've enjoyed reading each issue every month. It just gets better and better and more interesting, and I love Firepower. So those are my 10 best series and comics of 2020. Let's look at my most disappointing comics of 2020. Coming in at number 5 is Batman the Smile Killer by Jeff Lemire. Now, this is a conclusion of Joker Killer Smile, which was a 3-part DC Black Label series that Jeff Lemire wrote about the Joker and how the Joker can so easily get in somebody's head and make them insane. And Joker Killer Smile was amazing, and I was so looking forward to this book. And then this came out, and it was garbage, dude. He totally flips the script on the whole story, and then, just spoiler, turns out Batman's been insane this whole time, and it was just crap. Totally screwed the pooch. I'm not a big G.I. Joe fan. I like G.I. Joe enough, but I love Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes is a really cool character, and I was very much looking forward to Rob Liefeld's Snake Eyes Dead Game. But this does not feel like G.I. Joe whatsoever. There's too much mystical stuff, too much spiritual stuff, too much like ancient evil stuff. Like, G.I. Joe is just supposed to be G.I. Joes versus Cobras and like real world type battles, you know? Like this ancient evil of 5,000 years, like, just doesn't feel like G.I. Joe to me. Number 3 of my most disappointing comics of 2020 is the main series of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. After issue 100, which is where I started buying the single issues of it, I've been buying the trades, and it's been really good. But after issue 100, which was really good, from issue 101 on to the most recent issue, which is this one, it's just, man, it's boring. It's not good. It's just a bunch of sitting around talking and just it's too much Teenage Mutant and almost zero Ninja Turtle, and that is sad. Some cool stuff happens here and there, but very disappointing. I really want Sophie Campbell to get off of this book because I don't know who she is. This is the only thing I've ever read of her writing, but she does not write Ninja Turtles well at all. Number 2 most disappointing book of 2020 is The Resistance. Dude, issue 1 of this book was incredible, and I was on board immediately, and it made me buy a lot of these AWA books because it teased that it was a shared universe. And what was creepy was that what happened was a plague happened on the planet Earth that killed a bunch of people, which was really creepy that this happened because they started writing this stuff before 2020 happened and before the coronavirus. And so, like, when everything's starting to shut down is like when this book came out. And so if I had read it then, it would be really creepy. I read it a few months later and it was still creepy. But the virus happened. A virus happened, not the coronavirus. A virus happened, killed a bunch of people, but gave some people superpowers. And so this promised like to be the beginning of a new shared universe, like the Marvel universe or the DC universe of like superheroes and stuff. And so that first issue was incredible. I could read it all day long. Every issue after that was just, it turned out to just be very disappointing because it became more of, you know, forced diversity and just a bunch of political crap, and it's just more of the stuff that Marvel Comics and DC Comics have been pushing so much that people are tired of. And if I had known it was going to be that, I wouldn't have bought it. But that's how they get you. They suck you in with a really good first issue. They put all their time and talent into that first issue, and then once they hook you and you've subscribed to it, then they just let the crap fall. So, my most disappointing series of 2020, without question, is The Question, The Many Deaths of Vic Sage, written by Jeff Lemire with art by Dennis Cohen. And, you know, this came out, it's crazy that this came out the year that Denny O'Neil died, because Denny O'Neil and Dennis Cohen's Question is one of my favorite series ever. And I love Denny O'Neil's Question. And I love Dennis Cohen drawing the Question. That's the Question. That's what the Question should feel like. And so this story started out, it didn't really feel a lot like the Question. It was very, you know, it had like this very like mystical thing going on, and like a reincarnation type deal. And it felt like the Question enough to where you were willing to give it a shot to see where it goes. It could be very interesting. And so it all builds up to this final issue. And this final issue, like, it doesn't even really address the mystical stuff at all. It instead turns into like a platform for Jeff Lemire to talk about, you know, the riots and race relations and stuff like that. And it's like it doesn't have anything to do with what was going on in the previous books. And it's just, it was super disappointing because he didn't even really make a point. He tried to sound like he was being really intelligent to make a very profound point, but he didn't. He just kind of spoke in circles and made it very like, ooh, look at me, I'm standing up for issues, but I'm really not saying anything. I just want you to think I'm standing up for issues. Super disappointing. That's why it's my most disappointing comic of 2020. So I'll show you what I think is the worst comic of 2020. It's not a series that I bought. It's not a series that I thought was going to be awesome. I bought the book because it was supposed to be Harley Quinn fighting Punchline, and I thought that was going to be the whole book, and it turns out that that was not the whole book at all. It was just a backup story. Harley Quinn 75 was the hardest book I've ever read. It took so long to read this stupid book because it just was boring, crappy, vulgar, just not enjoyable whatsoever. And I hate that I spent $6 on that stupid book. Total waste of money. It was the last issue because the series got canceled, and if the rest of the issues were like that, I have no question why that series was canceled, because it sucks. So, now, my coolest covers of 2020. This one just came out. Amazing Spider-Man number 55. People went crazy over this cover. And it's just the cover A. It's the normal cover for the book. And it sold out everywhere because this cover is really cool. And people went nuts over it. And it's a cool cover. And just these covers are either the normal variant or cover A. They're not any special covers. I wanted to keep it fair, because if you throw in all these other variants in there, then it's just, whatever. You spend $100. Yeah, that cover is cool because you paid $100 for it. But these are just normal variants or normal A covers. And I only bought these books for their cover. Now, I buy this book anyway, but I bought the variant, and I bought numerous copies of the variant just because I thought the cover was really rad, and that is Batman The Adventures Continue variant number 1. So take a look at that really dope cover. Man, I love that cover. So rad. I'm not sure who did the cover. Oh, Pan Mora did that cover, and it's super, super rad. Patrick Gleason did the Amazing Spider-Man 55 cover, which is really rad. Bought very few covers of this, but this is easily my favorite cover of the Joker 80th anniversary. It's the Gabriel Dell'Otto cover, and man, that's a super rad Joker cover. I will probably get that book graded because it's just way cool. I buy this series anyway, and I bought a second issue so that I could hang this cover up. Daredevil 21, the super rad Marco Checchetto cover. Man, I love that cover. It's so good. Very cool. That's how Daredevil should look. And then my favorite cover of 2020 is easily Amazing Spider-Man number 51 by Patrick Gleason. That cover is just wild, dude. Like all those colors. It's just, man, it's a beauty. It's a real beauty. So there's my best and worst of 2020. If you like this video, give me that thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe because I got more content coming. I hope you have a happy new year. I hope 2021 is much better than 2020 was to all of us. And I hope that you be excellent to each other. And as always, take it easy.